While we are highly trained professionals dealing in complex mathematical procedure, we do encourage you to try this at home as it will hopefully enhance your mathematical understanding. So welcome back to 1 Lesson 3 Math. This is the second video in the 10 minutes 10 marks playlist. The questions are of IGCSE or GCSE or even Cambridge Checkpoint Standard. You can allow yourself 10 minutes and see how many marks you score. The first question is a calculator question. You can pause the video now if you want to have a go at them. You can use a stop clock, a phone, a watch, an egg timer, a sundial, whatever you have to time 10 minutes, and then I will proceed with the solutions and the explanations. So question 1. TS and PQ are two sides on right-angled triangles. Which length is bigger? Now, whenever I see right-angled triangles, I think that the question might be trigonometry or it might be Pythagoras. Now, trigonometry involves two sides and an angle other than the right angle, whereas Pythagoras involves two sides to calculate the other side. So, at this point, it becomes clear that the question is a Pythagoras question. So we write down Pythagoras' theorem, ABC squared plus equals. That gives us a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I'm going to label the triangles. Now C is always the longest side. I label them CBA. So for the first triangle, the side that we need to find is C, that's TS. For the second triangle, the 6 meter side is the C. We label the other sides B and A. They are interchangeable and it's not as important. For the second triangle, it's A that we need to find. Now, for some reason, my labeling of C has disappeared from the 6, but just remember that the 6 meter side is the C side. Now, I'm going to substitute in. I've got 3 squared plus 2 squared equals C squared, because I've got my A and B value, which I've substituted in. So that's 9 squared plus 4 equals C squared. So C squared equals 13, and C, therefore, is the square root of 13. That is 3.605, and that rounds to 3.6 meters. Excuse me. The second triangle, we don't have the a squared this time. So we've got a squared plus 3.5 squared equals 6 squared. So we're going to have to square the 3.5 and the 6. So that becomes a squared plus 12.25 equals 36. The difference here is because this is a reverse Pythagoras question, we need to then take away the 12.25 from 36 in this case to get the a squared on its own. So we have a squared equals 36, take away 12.25 equals 23.75. Now finally, we need to square root 23.75 to find out the value of PQ, which is A. It's 4.873, rounding that to 1 decimal place. Because the 8's got a 7 next to it, we round it up to a 9. It becomes 4.9 meters. Therefore, PQ is the longer side, and that would be the correct answer. So, question 2. We need to solve the simultaneous equations by using the substitution method. So we've got x equals y plus 3, and 3x plus 2y equals 29. Now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, right, if I can work out 3x in terms of y, I can substitute that in. And I can. So 3x is basically times in the first equation by 3. So I'm going to do 3 bracket y plus 3, and that's 3y plus 9. So I've multiplied the first equation by 3, and in place of the 3x, I can now write 3y plus 9. That gives me 3y plus 9 plus 2y equals 29. We now collect our like terms. That's 5y plus 9 equals 29. We subtract 9 from both sides. So we've got 5y equals 20. Divide by 5 on both sides. We get y equals 4. Now x equals y plus 3. So now we know what y is. We can say x equals 4 plus 3 and x equals 7. So they would be your solutions. Now, question 3 says plot the graph y equals 2x minus 1. Now, if they don't give you a table in an exam question, you need to create your own. And when I say a table, I mean some x values and some y values so that we can identify the coordinates to plot. So I usually choose 0, 1, 2, 3 for the x, and that will allow me to calculate the y values. So in this case, y equals 2x minus 1. That means 2 times the x value, take away 1. So when x equals 0, 2 times 0, take away 1 is minus 1. So when x equals 0, y equals minus 1. We do the same thing for when x equals 1. 2 times 1 is 2, take away 1 is 1. So when x equals 1, y equals 1. 2 times 2, so this is the next x value where x equals 2. 2 times 2 is 4, take away 1 is 3. And then 2 times 3, take away 1 is 5. 2 times 3 is 6, take away 1 is 5. So now we can plot these coordinates. 0 and minus 1, this is the intercept where it cuts the y-axis. We plot that coordinate along the corridor, up or down the stairs. So it's along the corridor 0, down the stairs to minus 1. Same thing for 1 and 1, we go along the corridor 1 and up the stairs 1. 2 and 3 and 5, we're going to go along the corridor 2, up the stairs 3, and then along the corridor 3, up the stairs 5. We join these points up. It should be a straight line because it's a linear graph, and yes, it is. Now finally, for question 4, Phil de Kettel says 1 2/3 plus 2 1/5 is greater than, the use of an inequality there, 4 1/3 divided by 1 1/2. Is he correct? So we'll deal with the addition of fractions first of all. We need to make them top heavy to add them. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to do the whole number multiplied by the denominator, add the numerator. So 1 times 3 plus 2 is 5. Therefore, 1 2/3 is 5/3. 2 times 5 add 1 is 11. So 2 1/5 is 11/5. Now to add these fractions together, we need to make the denominator the same. The lowest common multiple of 3 and 5 is 15. So I'm going to times the first equation, top and bottom, by 5. That gives me 25 over 15. I'm multiplying the second equation, top and bottom, by 3. So that gives me 33 over 15. Now I can add them. We add the numerators. This equals 58 over 15. Now 15 goes into 58 3 whole times with a remainder of 13. So we can change that back to a mixed number. It's 13 over 15. Now we're going to look at the division of the fractions. Again, we're going to make them top heavy. 4 times 3 is 12, add 1 is 13. So that's 13 over 3. 1 times 2 is 2, add the 1 is 3. So that's 3 over 2, 3 halves. Now to divide fractions, we need to stay switch flip. So the first fraction stays as it is. The divide becomes a times, and the second fraction flips. So we now have 13/3 multiplied by 2/3. And we can fnyam across the top, and we can fnyam across the bottom. Times across the top, times across the bottom. That gives us 26 over 9. 9 goes into 26 2 whole times, 18. Remainder 8, so it's 2 and 8 over 9. Now we can see that Phil de Kettel is now correct, because 3 13/15 is greater than 2 8/9. So therefore, Phil de Kettel is correct, and that would be the correct answer for number 4. Thanks very much. Hasta la pizza. Arrivederci. So long. Goodbye. See you next time.